Please be seated. Quite appropriately, this week's Torah portion begins the cycle of the story of Joseph, story about a young Jewish man who dreams big dreams, who grows up in a home and family, and somehow reaches to very high places. And indeed, his dreams lead him through ups and downs to a place where he has it in his power to help to save lives and to make an extraordinary difference for his family, for his people, and for the whole world. Does this story sound familiar to you? Quite coincidentally, amazingly, we have with us our dear beloved Guy Seemann this evening, who grew up here in this extended Jewish family, and from about the same age as Joseph, started to dream some pretty big dreams. And while the story has yet to unfold as to some of the things that Guy will yet do, he has already done some pretty amazing things in Washington, he'll tell you himself, in Israel, and most recently leading Israel's development and relief efforts in rural Haiti. So without further ado, because I don't know about you, but I'm much more interested in hearing them than hearing me, we're delighted to have with us Guy Seemann to share with us his story.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? You know, I'm going to start this in a rather unorthodox manner by offering two disclaimers. The first is that nothing I say tonight is going to be superfluous. Every word I'm going to use, every phrase, just like the Torah, will be stated for a reason. Because I cannot physically take you there, I will only be able to use my words to describe the experience, and every word has been chosen carefully. The second disclaimer is more for me, because I have to tell you that this is the first speech, and I've given quite a few to birthright groups or high school groups. That makes me a little nervous. Nervous because, for the first time, I really care and respect what every member in this congregation thinks. What you think about me, and what you think about this presentation. For those that know me, they know I've become quite Israeli in the sense that I live my life the way I want to, how I want to, when and where I want to, without fear of judgment or caring how others view me, because I know that as long as every decision I make is framed with a moral and principled infrastructure and with the intention to always be doing good for those around me. If that's how I live my life, then I'm content regardless of what others think. That's why I'm usually not nervous to speak to groups. By the way, now that, just so you know, that moral infrastructure, that principled guiding light came from a few proponents. Of course, the number one person being my hero and role model, my mother, Sarah Seemann. Now that I got that out of the way, I can move forward safely now that she got her props and her shout out. But tonight I stand here before a humbled man, because this is where I grew up. You raised me. The reason I'm standing up here is because of those faces I recognize here tonight, because of you and you alone. The first major benchmark that occurred in my life happened 11 years ago. And surprise, surprise, it happened here in this building with you. Up until the age of 16, I wasn't so involved in Jewish life, public policy, politics, Israel, government, as I am today. But 11 years ago, I was approached by the rabbi about a unique conference that was being held in Washington, D.C. regarding the reform movement's political action in America. It was called the Consultation on Conscience. Again, the Consultation on Conscience. Quite a fitting name, don't you think? At that conference, we learned about what our movement believes, and more importantly, how that belief translates into solving real-life world problems. It exposed me to the world of politics and policy. It exposed me to a system which I believe and still believe has the ability to change the lives of any individual. More specifically, this conference taught me about current policy battles being fought in Congress, taught me how to lobby Congress on behalf of what I think is right and just. This conference made me believe that I am personally responsible for my neighbor and his or her well-being, from Hillsborough to Israel to the shores of Haiti. Personally responsible. And that those who have the ability to make life better must do so. That's what this conference taught me. Always be making a decision not just based on your desires and needs, but based on what is good for those around you. If you do that, and that's what I've done my entire life, I promise you that life will only improve. This concept of treating your neighbor as yourself, or what we like to call the golden rule, is the only way where one person can set an example which could potentially change the face of a nation, a culture, one mind at a time. That is what was revealed to me at the consultation on conscience. So it all started here. And that is where my story begins. From that point on, I was driven but driven in a certain direction. To use my abilities, which allow me to understand human mentality, my ability to adapt to any situation, think critically, problem solve under pressure, and do it morally. My junior year of high school, I put thought into action by signing up for advanced classes in history, government, and politics. I even appealed to the principal of the school, I don't know if you remember this, the principal of the school to place me in a class one level above where I was supposed to be. It was a government class. He asked me why. Why should I put you there? And I responded, and I remember this very clearly, because I know this is where my life is headed. I know I want to work in this field. Senior year of high school, I decided to apply to many colleges, knowing that the only college I wanted to attend would be one that resided in Washington, D.C. Didn't matter so much which one. I was lucky enough to be accepted to American University, one of the top public policy schools in the country, and ranked number 1 in political action. I took that fueled energy to college with me and maximized every potential opportunity. I joined student government, became the community service chair of my fraternity, played sports, studied advanced campaign management, and found that, believe it or not, I don't think many of you know this, one of my big passions was dance. Something that kind of offset all the stress and all the seriousness. More than that, I took advantage of Washington, D.C. At the age of 18 and a half, I started my first Washington-based paid job as a political journalist. I reported on Congress for a year until I decided that instead of reporting on Congress, I wanted to be in Congress. I applied and was accepted to the office of Senator Menendez from New Jersey. And during each summer, worked on political campaigns across New Jersey and New York. D.C. was amazing. It was everything I could have hoped for. It allowed me the opportunity to personify the course of action and the courses of action which I knew were right. But during college, something changed. Washington had fulfilled the political side, but my Jewish and Israeli roots were still pulling at my coattails. So being the grab life by the throat, adventurous youngin' that I was, I said, I'm young, full of energy, and this is another adventure on my checklist that I want to do. I want to go explore Israel, but I want to do it my way. So at 22, 4 years after my trek through Washington, I went over to Israel on a 6-month program called Masa, offered by the Jewish Agency, with every intent on coming back and continuing my American political track. Little did I know what I was in for. The Masa program placed me directly into the Prime Minister's press office, where I worked with international journalists who came to cover the Middle East conflict. When that ended, I had a big decision to make. I got into Georgetown Masters. I decided whether to stay or to go back. Well, I think we all know what happened. I went back. No, just kidding. I followed my instinct, which I knew to be true, stayed in Israel, and joined the Israeli military. There, because of my professional experience, I was offered to join a unique unit which was based in the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank, not for combat purposes, but for the purpose of joining a unit which did joint cooperation with the Palestinians, joint initiatives with the Palestinians, from infrastructure to security coordination. There was one point where I was walking on my base and I was in a uniform, and the call to prayer came out. It's what the Muslims do 5 times a day. I was walking in my base, and I'm in the West Bank, and I'm in my uniform with my gun, and I just stand there and I look around. And I said, "What the heck am I doing here?" A year and something ago, I was in a suit in a senator's office, and now I'm somewhere in the middle of the West Bank working with Palestinians in a uniform and a gun. It's crazy. I really had a little surreal moment. Little did I know how working on development with Palestinians would impact my future. As my time came to a close in the Army, I was lucky enough to be offered to return to the Prime Minister's office, but this time as a junior advisor of sorts. I can't say too much about what I did, but long story short, I worked on American policy and strategy with some of the Prime Minister's advisors. I did this for a little more than a year. I was happy. I had an amazing job, a job well beyond my years, and thought it couldn't get any better. I had no idea that my life was in for another massive change. Towards the end of 2011, I received an email from one of my Army buddies who had mentioned he was just sent over by Israel to work on its development mission in Haiti. He mentioned in passing that they were looking for a director and thought I might be good for the job. So I sent him my resume, knowing that there was no chance that they would send some 26-year-old kid into the lion's den. I forgot about it until fate came and slapped me in the face. Not 2 weeks later, after I sent my resume, did one of my bosses in the Prime Minister's office approach me and say, "Guy, I heard you applied to our mission in Haiti." I just spoke with one of the founders of the mission and gave him a raving recommendation about you. I was a little stunned, as I didn't really think that I had officially applied. But in Israel, I guess once you pass your resume, that's it. They kind of take it into their own hands. So I thought about it. 1 week and 4 interviews later, I was officially offered the position. 1 week. My bosses in the Prime Minister's office were ecstatic. They said, "This is a big move up, Guy. Congratulations." And 3 weeks after that, I landed in Haiti. 1 month. Got the word. A month later, I was there. I closed up shop in Israel, my apartment, all the projects I was doing, and just went. I knew that this opportunity would probably never come again, and I never want to live my life saying the phrase, "I wish I would have ... when I was younger." Just like that meeting with the high school principal, pushing my way into Congress, my jump to Israel in the Prime Minister's office, this was another life-changing adventure. Each experience building upon the next. Each adventure, and you'll notice I used that word a few times, each adventure only making a more whole human being. So I landed in Haiti, National Geographic up and close. I had traveled through Africa and Southeast Asia before, but it took me a while to recognize that I just committed to living in Haiti for an extended period of time. Not only that, I had become the most senior member of the staff. Decisions affecting the future success of thousands of Haitians associated with our projects just became part of my post-breakfast routine. So what did we do in Haiti? The first Israeli delegation, before my time, landed hours after a massive earthquake hit Haiti in 2010. Instantly, mobile surgical hospitals, emergency food organizers, search and rescue army units were on the ground assisting the more than 3 million civilians affected by the catastrophe. 3 million. It's a hard number to imagine. The devastation was unthinkable. Fallen buildings trapped citizens under their crushing weight for days. Water sources were rapidly contaminated due to a number of bodily fluids infesting the underwater streams and aquifers. Henceforth, diseases such as malaria, cholera, dysentery spread like wildfire. Massive displacement camps were erected by the United Nations, whose numbers ranged into the hundreds of thousands. Israeli doctors, organizers, and volunteers, along with delegates from dozens of other countries, flushed themselves out along these camps that seemed as though they went on for days, helping whoever needed assistance. The world poured human and financial resources into Haiti. The number of dead reached 250,000. 250,000 people died, most of them from falling buildings who were improperly constructed. After about 2 months, the emergency relief effort started to dissipate, and many went home. The country was still a complete and utter disaster, but at least it had been somewhat stabilized. Sorry to say, whoever was going to die, died. And whoever was saved, was saved. Now the work of putting the country back together was at hand. There were 3 organizations which opted to stay after the initial emergency relief and devote resources to development projects. No longer emergency, now development. Those are Temple Beth-El, IsraAid, Arava R&D. There are 3 organizations. I won't get into them, but if you have questions about them, how to get involved, please see me after. But those organizations came together and de facto became the Israeli delegation in Haiti, which I ended up directing for most of 2012. So what do we do on the ground? Before I tell you, I just want to mention 2 facts. Everything you think about Haiti, everything you think about logic and common sense, throw it out the window. What they think is left, you think is right. What they think is up, you think is down. What you think is right, they think is wrong. That's one thing. Secondly, is our philosophy as a development organization. Our philosophy as a development organization, at least under my auspices, was quite straightforward and a little harsh. No one gets anything for free. Free rides only lead to a situation of dependency and short-term satisfaction. You don't actually learn or grow if you're given everything. For me, development was ultimately one thing: knowledge, and knowledge alone. For all of our services, one must have paid a minimal fee or given or volunteered their time to a project. So one would think, but Guy, they have no money. They already don't have jobs. How can you ask them to pay or volunteer? I'll come back to this point, but this concept guided every single underlying decision I made as a director. We had 3 main projects going on in Haiti in the regional area of Léogâne. Léogâne was the city where the epicenter of the earthquake hit, 134,000 residents. The first project was a multifaceted medical clinic, and I'll start you off with a short story. On my first day of getting to know the projects, a woman came in, and instantly the Israeli nurse went into emergency mode. I was obviously confused, but the nurse told me that she had cholera. She knew right away, without even having to diagnose her. Cholera can be spread just by touching, through the sweat. You have to imbibe it in your mouth. Shake of a hand, touch of your mouth, that's it. You have cholera. The woman had to be more or less quarantined and rushed to another facility because of how contagious cholera is. Cholera basically kills you by dehydrating you. All you do is you throw up all day and go to the bathroom all day until your bodily fluids are gone. Within 4 days, you're dead, unless treated in a very simple way: water, sugar, and salt. In Haiti, thousands died due to the lack of knowledge of these simple facts, while here, it would be a quick trip to a sterile IV. That was day 1. During the immediate aftermath of the earthquake, the clinic was set up to provide severely lacking medical services needed on the ground. Since its inception, it has grown and taken on a number of different roles. As an education center for Haitian medical personnel who lack training and medical knowledge, most Haitian doctors couldn't even label the parts of a heart. A public health facility providing daily lessons on everything from cholera prevention to malnutrition. A center focusing on diabetes and hypertension, heart problems. And most importantly, most basically, which you find surprising, a family clinic where people know the doctor, know the nurses, and have a file on record. For most of us, this is like common practice. In Israel, you swipe a card and bam, your entire medical history. Specialists are only a phone call away and medication is covered by insurance. In Haiti, unless you're rich, it doesn't exist, not even close. So the Israeli delegation's clinic had become a hub of knowledge, handling those who need special treatment, providing free medication once you pay the patient fee, and keeping people's medical records on file for the first time. These concepts have never really been put into place in Haiti. People did not stay with the same doctor and would sell their medications on the street because they weren't properly informed of their effects and what they can do. Every Israeli doctor or nurse that was brought down had a Haitian counterpart. If we were there just to provide treatment, what happens when we left? No training, no sustainability. People die. Our clinic swiftly became one of the region's most visited and most effective medical facilities. Now, between 300 and 400 Haitians come every week. We set up chronic patient days, teaching them the simple concept of a follow-up visit to make sure that ailments were actually in retreat. Again, something you think would be logical is not so obvious to a Haitian who has never known what it means to receive real long-term care. The clinic is one of the first in the Leogan community, and I hope the future of medicine in the region. The second project has to do with agriculture and is a unique initiative started to assist local farmers to earn their livelihoods. This is a long-term investment that identifies the demands of the rural population. It is based on a sustainable model, or in other words, a model that will exist once foreigners leave, and builds the long-term capability of its beneficiaries, or in other words, the long-term capability of the farmer. Knowledge, in a word. This is real international development. More than 70% of Haitians live off the land, yet their farming practices date back 100 years. Most simply dig holes and throw seeds into the ground, hoping for them to sprout. That technique yields about 20% success rate. No wonder people are dying from malnutrition if 70% of the country is only succeeding 20% of the time. Furthermore, local farmers in the region made about $150 to $300 per year. I said per year. Most of their crops are for feeding their families, not for sale. This means that they cannot invest in themselves, let alone afford food and clothes for their families. They are trapped because no one has ever exposed them to anything else. Knowledge. Our model was relatively simple. It begins with a 4-month training course at a plot of land the size of about a half a football field. We would bring our generator, because most of Haiti is not supplied by electricity, hold classes with a computer and a projector in our makeshift classroom, and put those practices into play in the field. That strategy was invented by Israel and is called drip system irrigation, which uses gravity to carry water to its desired destination. It saves hundreds of liters of water a day, sends the water directly to the roots, is quite inexpensive, and guess what? Can of course be bought in Haiti. Preserving our local-centric, sustainable, and replicable ethos. Everything must be local. Everything must be internal. Everyone must be trained. Our watering system, along with our special growing techniques, yielded instead of 20%, 90% success of our vegetables. And the vegetables, these vegetables that we grow, look like something that you would eat, whereas the vegetables that they grew before would be something that you would for sure throw away. An Israeli agronomist, an agricultural expert, is brought in to partner with a Haitian agronomist, both of whom lead the classes. All of our development models are training-based. Again, knowledge. This clears the way for long-term sustainability and success. The field, the planting field, is split up into 4 sections: lettuce, tomatoes, green peppers, and hot peppers. In Haiti, the quality of vegetables, as I said, was ridiculous. Most of the food was imported from other countries. 80% of Haiti's food is imported from other countries. It is sad that a country with 70% of its population in the farming industry and huge swaths of undeveloped land, a financially starved economic sector, is unable to capitalize on developing its agricultural zone. It's ridiculous. So our model is to empower the farmer and to develop a method of farming that is inexpensive yet produces healthy, high-quality vegetables that can be sold to major stores. What does this do? First, it connects the rural farmer to big buyers, thereby giving the farmer a larger cash flow, a bigger salary, for investment in themselves and their towns. This also creates jobs in the rural sectors of Haiti, as the farmers will need to hire farmhands. In addition, it allows big buyers who are buying goods from the USA to buy local goods, thereby buttressing the local economy instead of spending money abroad. We train the farmers to set up the system, teach them about the fertilizers, the compost, the storage, the nursery care, and much, much more. We help them to develop a year-long growing season made up of half a dozen crops, where before they were only growing one crop for maybe 2 or 3 months. How, might you ask, can the farmers then afford this entire package of water systems and seeds and fertilizers? Again, the answer comes from within Haiti. We have connected the farmers to a Haitian organization that provides no-interest loans for 1 year in order to purchase our specially, locally designed farming kits, keeping in line with our philosophy of nothing for free. The farmer will have to pay it back in 1 year. It's a loan, just like the real world. It includes everything you could possibly need to start your own farm, and it costs $900. How are you going to pay it back if they only make $300 a year? With our model, the farmers will be making $3,000 to $8,000 per year, which was proven when I was there. Many factors must be taken into account when estimating the incomes, including the farmer's work ethic, which was a big problem, plant disease, how many farmhands, etc. So the profit gamut is large. Nonetheless, it is still a profit, and a big one at that. This is multiplying the farmer's salary by 20 times. They will be able to pay off the loan within 6 months, and now rural farmers that could barely spell their names are selling to supermarkets and making a killing. This model has been so successful that multiple organizations such as Habitat for Humanity, the Red Cross, USAID, Jimmy Carter himself, and now the Haitian President's Office would like us to replicate it on a large scale. We will see if that actually happens. The bottom line is that this project empowered the local farmer to take his future into his own hands. We set up real-life businesses models with real-life financial plans. We gave them nothing for free except our knowledge and project management skills. That was our agricultural project, and we hope it's going to change the face of agriculture in Haiti. Our third project falls under community and education development, a topic much more vague and difficult to quantify in terms of statistical progress. Community development, what is that? However, this is our largest initiative with anywhere between 3,000 and 5,000 beneficiaries, 3,000 and 5,000 people benefiting from the project. Over a year ago, we chose 3 unique communities who lacked access to education, facilities, communal meeting spaces to develop new ideas, and high unemployment rates. In Haiti, pre- and post-earthquake, the concept of communal development was weak. Each family fended for itself, and the Haitian culture, at least in our region, had not embraced the idea of collective building as a way forward. Henceforth, the Israeli team dedicated to raise the funds and open up 3 community centers, but not just centers to hold events. They were hubs of education, offering courses in English, Spanish, Creole, the local language, French, mathematics, literacy, and computers. Thousands of kids in the area do not attend school due to financial restrictions or lack of formal documentation. All of a sudden, our centers were flooded with people from age 3 to 86 requesting services. We found that there were fully grown adults with 10 children unable to write their names. Kids whose parents worked from morning till night and needed a place to interact with any mentor who would show them an ounce of attention. Groups of young adults who were able to share new ideas. This is what I call synergy. It happened very quickly. Youth groups formed. Youth leaders quickly rose out of the ashes of the earthquake. Our classes were packed. Community events occurred in each center once a week. A full soccer program, which was focused on volunteering and education, formed and brought together warring youth to the same field. And little by little, we started to see the community thinking and working as a single unit. The United Nations soon became interested in our model. As of September 14, 2012, the UN and the Israeli delegation opened up the city's largest multifaceted center. We called it the LEAP Center, Leogan Educational Access Project. It houses 5 40-person classrooms for children who cannot afford to go to school, Leogan's largest cyber cafe, and the city's first lending library. However, its largest function will be a vocational training center, which will offer courses in electronics, accounting, construction, computer science, and most importantly, small business development. Due to Haiti's 40% unemployment rate, all of these professions were carefully researched to measure the impact on the people's abilities to get jobs. Many partners came together for the center. Listen to how many and listen who they are. The Israeli organization called Latet graciously donated all the equipment for the center, including laptops and electrical system. Most of it doesn't have electronics. The UN built the building with donors from Korea. Engineers from Japan, Nepal, and Sri Lanka assisted in the structure's design. 6 nations with Israel as their programmatic implementers built the framework. It is the largest project I have personally ever been a part of. The future now lies in the hands of the local Haitian community boards, teachers, and youth groups. We handed it over to them when I left. During the opening of the center, I made a speech. The last line went as such: all the partners in this project have come together only to give you the opportunity to experience life at its greatest potential. Nothing more. We came together to revolutionize how you access the world, access your community, access education, but most importantly, how you access yourselves. We built the framework, now it's your turn to fill it. Our living conditions in Haiti were quite fascinating. Because there was no connection to the power station or water plant, we became completely self-sufficient. We had our own generator, which powered 8-car batteries like the ones you have in your cars. We had a water pump which pumped water from an underground well to the roof into large tubs, which then had to be chlorinated because it was infested with cholera. Cold showers using bleached water were the only showers, and I became quite accustomed and even comfortable sleeping on mattresses on the floor. We were our own little compound, living in the middle of a community with banana, mango, and coconut trees growing all around our house. Community centers, medical clinics, agricultural initiatives, business development strategies were all projects which kept us working from 7 a.m. until the job was done for that day, whether it be 7 p.m. or midnight. The Haitians we work with are working to help themselves, not us. So they need to invest in their time to make the project work. It is in their best interest and assures their future, not ours. We must provide all the knowledge that has allowed our societies to avoid such basic obstacles as hunger and disease. But at the same time, they must know they were not entitled to anything. They had to work for themselves. I think it's a lesson that is applicable right here at home. We will be there to assist, train, support, and care. We will not be there to hand anything out for free. We will bring in the methodologies and equipment that have yet to be introduced to the Haitian population. We will make the right connections, provide them with the right tools, teach them the right ways to maximize their own capabilities. In short, we will be there for them, breaking our backs, just as long as they're breaking their backs along with us. In conclusion, I came back from Haiti and a friend of mine asked me a very interesting and yet simple question. What is Israel doing in Haiti? I stopped for a second, looked at him a little cockeyed, and said, you know what? I don't have a good reason to tell you. Haiti has no international economic or political power which could be used to help Israel. Nothing to warrant a worthy investment for the sake of bolstering Israel's image or financial sector. So I turned to headquarters in Israel and asked. The response caught me by surprise. One of the chiefs back in Israel, who's also a rabbi, responded to me by saying, what does it mean to be an Israeli and a Jew in the contemporary world? It means engaging with all the wisdom and empathy we can muster in creating a more just and beautiful world. Sounds very symbolic. This is what he believed. He said, that's the reason, guy. That's why I do this job. Because we care. I'll let the skeptics argue it out later. So we circle all the way back around to the start of this speech, back to the golden rule of treating your neighbor as yourself. Israel was there, because it felt it should be there, because it was the right thing to do. No backhanded political ploy. It was because we felt we should be helping. Haiti changed me. My concepts of what's important in life, how to manage diverse personalities, how to problem solve under intense pressure, and how to appreciate every single minute of my blessed life. Leadership and humility, and how to care, but know that caring sometimes forces you to be strict. Nothing for free, to your parents out there. And most importantly, it taught me how to be a teacher. I learned a great many things from you while I was growing up. These, henceforth me, are the fruits of your labor. Your knowledge passed to me. Knowledge was, is, and will always be the quintessential attribute to all human progress. Thank you for your time. Go out and always be learning and moving forward. Shabbat Shalom.
That was the short version.